Real stories of werewolves, of dogmen from history, from your emails, illustrated and animated with the democratizing magic of machine learning AI. Welcome to Scary Stories.
Tonight we've got a really classy Father's Day gift idea from the late great Brad Steiger, if your dad is into werewolves. We'll get to that later. But speaking of being into werewolves, this lady that emailed me certainly is, and she wants us all to stop picking on werewolves. Dear Scary Stories NYC, I hope this email finds you well. I've been listening to your stories and felt inspired to share my own. It's an unconventional tale about my life with my fiancé Aiden, who becomes a berserker werewolf at night. I know it sounds scary, but it's more of a love story than a horror tale, really. Let me begin with some context. I met Aiden 3 years ago at a small town fair. He stood out not just because of his towering height, he's 6'5" in human form, but also because of his strong, silent demeanor. He's the kind of man who radiates a quiet strength, making you feel safe and protected just by his presence. I was drawn to him immediately, and we quickly became inseparable. It was a few months into our relationship when Aiden revealed his secret to me. He transforms into a werewolf. But not just any werewolf. A berserker werewolf. Berserkers are known for their uncontrollable rage and immense power while transformed. Surprisingly, this revelation did not scare me. Instead, it solidified our bond. Knowing his secret, I could see the depth of trust he placed in me. One of the most memorable moments in the early days of our relationship happened at the mall. I was shopping for a new dress, and a guy I didn't know started hitting on me persistently. He was insistent, touching my arm and making crude comments. I told him to back off, but he wouldn't listen. Just then, Aiden appeared. I didn't even know he was at the mall, and he didn't know I was there either. But somehow fate, or luck, brought him to the right place at the right time. Aiden's eyes had a familiar glint, the early signs of his transformation. His muscles tensed, and his usually calm face twisted into a snarl. It was terrifying but reassuring at the same time. Reassuring to me, terrifying to this handsy dude. Aiden's partial transformation was enough to send this guy running. His eyes turned a glowing yellow, and his teeth elongated slightly, hinting at the fangs that would fully develop if he transformed completely. The guy took one look at Aiden's rapidly changing form and bolted, leaving me alone. Aiden's protective nature in that moment made me feel incredibly safe. I started wanting him around me in my neighborhood and at my home, too. It wasn't long after that when I started dropping hints about how my rent was cheaper than his, and that I had a larger bedroom than he had, and before you knew it, he moved in. Again, luck or fate or just good timing followed Aiden into my home. He hadn't even been living here for a month when a burglar broke into the house we rent. It was around midnight, and I was in bed when I heard a noise downstairs. Now before he was here, I would have called the police and locked myself in my bedroom panicking. Now I have a superpowered being sleeping next to me. I woke Aiden and his eyes immediately flicked to the door, already sensing danger. He got out of bed silently, and I followed him, feeling a mixture of fear and excitement. His bravery is infectious. When we reached the living room, we saw the silhouette of a man rifling through our desk drawers on the computer station, where we keep our banking and some petty cash for household expenses. Aiden stepped forward, and his transformation began almost instantly. His body contorted, muscles bulging, and fur sprouting from his skin. His eyes glowed a ferocious yellow, and a deep growl emanated from his throat. The burglar turned around, and the look of terror on his face was almost humorous, at least to me. Aiden bluff charged, but he didn't attack. Instead, he pinned the man against the wall with a single massive hand-like paw, with his long, almost Wolverine-like claws. The burglar's eyes widened as he stared into the face of a creature from his worst nightmares. Aiden's growl was enough to make the man lose control of his bladder. That did cause me to chuckle as I called the police. They arrived eventually to find the burglar cowering in the corner, begging to be taken away. Aiden had shifted back to human form just in time, appearing to the police as nothing more than a concerned homeowner. When the crook babbled and screamed that my husband was a hairy ape dog monster with claws, Aiden and I gave the officers innocent looks and shrugged our shoulders as if we had no idea what the man was talking about. Aiden asked the cops innocently, "Is this what happens when you take too many drugs, officers?" And they were like, "Yeah, kid, that's why you should just say no." As they exited with the would-be burglar in cuffs, Aiden told them all to drop by again any time. We could barely wait for them to drag the bad guy away before we burst out laughing. If Aiden hadn't been there, I certainly would not have been laughing it up. The cops told us that this guy had brought rope and tape with him. He seems to have planned to do more to me than just rob me. I guess the creep didn't know that Aiden had moved in. He does now, and he'll remember it too. I'm a girl who loves listicles, so I can't resist giving you my 7 favorite things about being engaged to a berserker werewolf. Number 1. Protection. I always feel safe with Aiden. Knowing that he can transform into a powerful creature means I don't have to worry so much about threats, whether physical or otherwise. 2. Loyalty. Werewolves, especially berserkers, have a strong sense of loyalty. Aiden's devotion to me is unwavering, and I never doubt his commitment. Number 3. Excitement. Our life is never dull. There is always an element of unpredictability, and while it might sometimes get scary, it's also very thrilling. Number 4. Strength. Aiden's physical strength is impressive. Even in his human form, he's capable of feats that I think would be impossible for most ordinary men. He denies this and says I'm looking through the eyes of love, but I've never seen a man with such strength in my life. On days when I can spare the time, I go with him to the gym, mostly just to watch him lift weights. He tends to draw a crowd in the weight room, as you might imagine. If too many women gather, I get him out of there fast. He's too good to risk losing. And number 5, companionship. Despite or perhaps because of his berserker nature, Aiden is gentle and caring to me and my cat. His love and affection are unmatched. My kitty gets pampered as much as I do, and neither of us have any complaints so far. Number 6. Trust. The fact that Aiden trusts me with his deepest secret means a lot. It's a bond that's hard to break. We are a team in a way I've never gotten to be with anyone else ever before. Number 7. Connection to nature. Being with a werewolf has given me a new appreciation for nature in the wild. I see everything so differently now than I did before. Recently, he half carried me up the side of this hill, and we had a picnic on a ledge overlooking the woods that I'm not sure I could have ever reached on my own. It was more incredible than the most expensive restaurant because that view was only for the 2 of us. Yes, ants got into everything, but I didn't even care. Since I'm making lists, I'm going to give you 3 ways a werewolf boyfriend is better than a human one. This might sound like me bragging, but it's actually me explaining why I work so hard to keep him mine. Number 1, security. We've already been here and explained this part. Aiden's werewolf nature means he can protect me in ways a human boyfriend never could. His strength and instincts are heightened, making him a formidable guardian. Number 2, intensity. Our relationship is more intense and passionate because of his dual nature. There's a level of physicality to our relationship that goes beyond what I could have ever expected from a normal man. I don't want to get you in trouble with any censors, but let's just say that I'm shockingly satisfied in our private time together, more than I had ever thought could be possible. Number 3, adventure. Life with Aiden is an adventure from start to finish. I'm not sure I need to expand upon that. I think you already get that point. I don't ever want to live life without this man, so Aiden's happiness is crucial to me. Since he's adapted his life to me, I've adapted my life to accommodate his needs in an equal fashion. Here are a few things I do to keep him content. Number 1. Understanding his cycles. Although Aiden transforms at least once a week, the transformations tend to follow a cycle, becoming more intense around the full moon. I make sure to provide a safe space for him during these times, and give him the freedom to roam when necessary. It can be hard to do because it means I will be lonely, and I will be jealous. I will worry that he might leave me, but there's no other option. Clinging to him too hard will drive him away. Giving him a space to go berserk with his werewolf buddies and rage through the woods on their insane hunts makes him a better boyfriend when he comes back to me afterward. Trust me, living with a guy who literally goes berserk a couple or 3 days every week requires biting your tongue a lot and being very patient and forgiving. 2. Emotional support. Aiden sometimes struggles with the burden of his berserker nature. I provide emotional support, helping him cope with the stress and guilt that occasionally accompany his transformations. Number 3. Diet and care. Maintaining his physical health is important. I've learned about the specific nutritional needs of a werewolf, and I ensure his diet supports his transformations. For you ladies and others who might be so lucky as to find yourself dating or marrying a werewolf, I'm going to share with you my super healthy werewolf diet protocol. Some of you might want to go full carnivore on your wolfman hubby, but even a werewolf is an omnivore to some extent, not a full carnivore. Remember ladies, he is still part human. Get ready to take notes. Here is my werewolf diet plan for Aiden. Okay, it's a high-protein diet. Number 1 is lean meats. Chicken, turkey, beef, and venison are great sources of protein to help build and repair the extensive muscle tissue required for his transformations. Game meats like venison are particularly beneficial due to their lower fat content and higher nutritional density. He informs me that he does get to eat some of this when he is transformed. Unlike the meat he gets for himself in the woods, though, I cook the venison before I serve it. Number 2, fish and seafood. Salmon, tuna, and mackerel are excellent for their omega-3 fatty acids, which support heart health and inflammation reduction, crucial for the physical strength of transforming. And number 3, eggs. Eggs provide a versatile and easily digestible source of protein, along with essential vitamins and minerals that aid in overall health and energy levels. Again, I cook them before I serve them, but Aiden will eat eggs in any form, just cracking them open and sucking them down. It's gross, and I make him brush his teeth afterward before he can kiss me again. High energy foods. Number 4, complex carbohydrates. Whole grains like quinoa, brown rice, and oats offer sustained energy release. This is essential for a werewolf whose transformations and nocturnal activities require significant energy reserves. Aiden disagrees about this and hates grains. I try to sneak them in anyhow. Number 5, nuts and seeds. Almonds, walnuts, chia seeds, and flax seeds are packed with healthy fats and protein, providing a high-energy snack that supports his metabolic demands. He prefers to put salt on them, which is bad for blood pressure and other things, but at least I can get him eating nuts this way. Number 6, fruits and vegetables. Bananas, berries, and dark leafy greens like spinach and kale are important for their vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, which help maintain his overall health and speed up recovery after transformations. Again, these are things I have to sneak into meals in ways where they're less noticeable and more likely to be consumed. I make meat pies for him, for instance, and these sort of like quiche dishes that have meat and other things in them. I deviate so much from the standard quiche recipe that I don't even know what to call the end result, but he does eat it, and it's good for him, so we're both happy. Next, micronutrients. Number 7, iron-rich foods. Red meat, liver, and legumes such as lentils and beans are crucial for preventing anemia and maintaining strong blood health, vital for someone who undergoes such extreme physical changes. I can sneak beans into recipes, but I have no trouble at all getting him to eat any kind of meat. Number 8, calcium and vitamin D. Dairy products like milk, yogurt, and cheese, along with fortified plant-based milks, provide calcium and vitamin D, supporting bone strength and overall skeletal health, important for the structural changes Aiden's body constantly undergoes. And number 9, electrolytes. coconut water, bananas, and leafy greens are great for maintaining electrolyte balance, which is important for muscle function and preventing cramps, especially during and after transformations. And then we've got supplements. Number 10, multivitamins. Given the intensity of his physical needs, a high-quality multivitamin can help cover any nutritional gaps, ensuring he gets all the necessary vitamins and minerals. Number 11, omega-3 supplements. In addition to dietary sources, omega-3 supplements can further support anti-inflammatory processes and cardiovascular health. Number 12, protein shakes. On days when his energy needs are particularly high, or if he needs rapid recovery, protein shakes can provide a quick and efficient source of nutrition. Then, of course, you have to think of hydration. Number 13, water. Ample hydration is essential for overall health, especially for managing the physical exertion and possible metabolic heat generated during transformations. Number 14, electrolyte drinks. Sports drinks with balanced electrolytes can help replenish salts lost through sweat and intense physical activity, and that prevents dehydration. Number 15, increase caloric intake. Given the additional energy requirements for transformations, Aiden likely needs a diet higher in calories than a regular human diet, especially on transformation days. Number 16, post-transformation nutrition. After transformations, Aiden might need more immediate replenishment, focusing on protein-rich and carbohydrate-dense foods to restore energy and repair muscle tissue. By following this type of diet, Aiden can ensure that his body has the nutrients it needs to handle the extreme demands of his berserker werewolf nature while maintaining overall health and strength. As for our future, Aiden and I plan to move to a more secluded area where he can transform without fear of being seen. We're looking at properties near the woods where he can roam freely without the constraints of urban life. We've also discussed starting a family, and while the idea of having werewolf children is daunting, it's also incredibly exciting. In my experience, werewolves have been unfairly demonized. Aiden is proof that they can be loving, loyal, and protective partners. His berserker nature doesn't make him a monster. It's just a part of who he is. If more people understood this, perhaps werewolves wouldn't be feared and hated. They are just as capable of love and kindness as anyone else, and they deserve the same respect and acceptance. Living with a berserker werewolf is a unique experience, one that has its challenges but also its rewards. I wouldn't trade Aiden for anyone else. He's my protector, my partner, and my best friend. Our life together is extraordinary, and I'm grateful for every moment we share. Thank you for letting me share my story of my life with a berserker werewolf. Are werewolves really real, like tonight's story submitter insists? Can you really date a werewolf? I don't personally know the answers to those questions, but I do know that the late great Brad Steiger wrote an entire encyclopedia about werewolves and shapeshifters, so I figured it might be something I could look up. This book is well over 300 pages of information about all the different kinds of shapeshifters known of, not only men who change into wolves. Steiger says that werewolf myths are as old as humanity itself, going back literally 140,000 years, to the very beginnings of our species. In this book, you can learn about the historical berserker werewolves, which this lady tonight was claiming her boyfriend was some kind of descendant of. She is right in that not all werewolves were hated, and in fact a number of peoples and leaders identified as werewolves throughout history, and possibly prehistory too. There's a lot to learn on this subject, and The Werewolf Book, the Encyclopedia of Shape-Shifting Beings by the late great Brad Steiger, is an awfully good place to start. We've got a link to snag yourself a deluxe copy from Barnes & Noble. This is not a cheap item. This is a special thing. If your dad is into werewolves, this might make an ideal Father's Day gift. If you do buy from that link in our description, I'm required to let you know that we would in that case make a small commission. And it would help us a little bit to stay on the air. Speaking of which, we have to thank today's executive producer, a man who knows a thing or two about cryptids himself. I'm speaking about none other than Long Island Bigfoot, who is a channel member of our channel. He's got a great channel of his own where he goes out on location looking for Bigfoot and Dogman. In fact, he's a Dogman witness himself and has been on Vic Cundiff's show to talk about it. I would love to get my act together and do an episode trying to illustrate his experiences with animation. I've been stalling on that project waiting for one of these new animators to come out like Sora or that Google one, so I could do longer animations than just a few seconds at a time. But one way or another, I want to dedicate an episode of this channel to him. In either case, he's a great guy and you should check out his channel and subscribe for frequent updates. Long Island Bigfoot got to see both our secret uncensored members-only stories this past weekend, and he'll have access to the 2 new ones we're planning on dropping this coming weekend too. You can as well, and if you want to learn how, then just listen to our international TV spokesmongrel, Henry Lee Dogman. He'll explain it all. Hank? Thanks, Biggie, and thanks to all of you for watching this far. If you liked it, please click like. If you'd like to see more of our work, please subscribe. And also click that bell icon if you'd like to be notified when we put out a new episode. To become an executive producer, you can donate to us through the thanks button under each of our videos or through our paypal.me/PeterBernard209 page. To receive cool perks like secret uncensored Dogman episodes far too wild to ever run on this channel, you can become a YouTube channel member by clicking the join button. Or join our PayPal subscribers club at peterbernard.com. Joining either at the $3 a month level or above gets you access to our over 25 hours of secret uncensored Dogman stories available nowhere else. Do you have a scary story about Dogman or some other kind of high strangeness that happened to you? Let us know by emailing us at scarystoriesnyc@gmail.com or by leaving us a voicemail message at 804-LA-SCARY. You may need to call back on that one. It cuts off after, I think, 3 minutes. And if you don't want to do any of that stuff, thank you for simply watching to the end. Good night, and have a scary tomorrow.
Come back for more scary stories.